Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. At the top of today's show, I'm going to debunk a popular narrative that has come out based on a new report from Adam Schefter. Then we'll get into my Day 3 minicamp notes and takeaways. Today was the final day of Steelers mandatory minicamp and the final Steelers practice in an official capacity until we get to Latrobe on July 24th. So I'll let you guys know all the latest from Southside Pittsburgh, but make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are not going live today. Today is usually our normal live day, but there is kind of an internet server issue happening on the World Wide Web right now, and we just figured it would be better if we ended up going live. Tomorrow instead of today. So we will be going live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already to never miss a live show. So let's start here with Adam Schefter from ESPN, who earlier this week had a report saying that Aaron Rodgers was the Pittsburgh Steelers' quote-unquote third option this offseason, and a lot of people have taken that report and have kind of had the narrative of, the Steelers settled for Aaron Rodgers this offseason. Schefter said the first option for the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason was Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. Their second option was Justin Fields, and then their third option was Aaron Rodgers. All right, and that narrative that has come out of this entire situation when it comes to the quarterback situation here in Pittsburgh is that the Steelers have settled for Aaron Rodgers and that they were desperate to get a quarterback, and the only reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers ended up signing Aaron Rodgers this offseason is because they couldn't get their preferred option, so they settled for the 41-year-old quarterback, somebody that they didn't even want in the first place. And, I think that I want to kind of debunk that narrative for you guys on today's show because it's just not true. First of all, Matthew Stafford was never really a true option, and the Pittsburgh Steelers found that out fairly quickly. Once they gave a call to Stafford's agent and the Rams respectively, they kind of figured out that this situation was going to end with Stafford going back to the Los Angeles Rams. So Schefter saying Stafford was their first option is kind of like him saying Patrick Mahomes was their first option. Like they wanted somebody that wasn't available, so he wasn't really a true option. So for me, you can cross Matthew Stafford's name off of that list. And then the second narrative when it comes to the quarterback situation that has come out because of this report is that Pittsburgh preferred Justin Fields to Aaron Rodgers and think that Fields is a better quarterback than Rodgers is at this point in their respective careers, which is untrue. How the Pittsburgh Steelers felt about Justin Fields heading into this offseason was they liked his upside. They liked him as a potential future long-term option at the quarterback position, just like they felt about him last year. But they also knew that he didn't show enough on the field in 2024 to just be handed the position. They were interested in bringing him back if they could get him on a cheap contract. And he won a competition in training camp versus another veteran starting quarterback type of player. And, Pittsburgh actually, they offered Fields his contract before they offered Rodgers a contract because they could. Like, before free agency begins, you're not allowed to negotiate with players outside of your organization. They were able to negotiate with Fields, so that is why the Steelers submitted their contract offer to Fields ahead of Rodgers. But the point still remains here. The Steelers didn't believe in Fields enough to just straight up give him the starting position. They told him that he would have to earn it in training camp in a competition-like setting with another veteran starting quarterback. And even if they signed Justin Fields in free agency, they still would have brought in another veteran quarterback. And who knows, they might have even still signed Aaron Rodgers and made him, the bona fide starter with Fields kind of playing the role that he played last year, where he was, the long-term option, the high upside talented guy learning from a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Last year it was Russell Wilson, and with the price tag that the Steelers got Aaron Rodgers for, if they were able to sign Justin Fields for the $15 million per season over 2 years that they offered him, they still would have had enough money to be able to go out and pay Aaron Rodgers the great value that they ended up signing him to. So that was absolutely a possibility. And like I said, Pittsburgh's offer to Fields was 2 years, $30 million total. That's $15 million per season. just so you guys know, that is a high-end backup level contract, all right? Like, that's the same amount of money pretty much that Daniel Jones got from the Indianapolis Colts. So the Pittsburgh Steelers were not willing to go off that number. That was as high as they were willing to go, and it sounded like Fields wasn't too thrilled about the idea of having to go through another quarterback competition in training camp, so it just didn't seem like it was going to work. And the truth of the matter is, guys, when the New York Jets kind of came up to Justin Fields and his representation and said, hey, if we're not only willing to pay you more money than the Pittsburgh Steelers are willing to pay you, but we are willing to give you our starting job for the 2025 season. And, obviously Justin looked at the two situations, and the Jets were offering something much better. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers had the opportunity to counter that New York Jets offer, and they decided not to. They're like, all right, we can't compete with that because we don't want to give him the starting position, so they just moved on. And according to Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated, the Steelers, by the time free agency came around, were all in on Aaron Rodgers. So at the end of the day, guys, brass tacks, the Pittsburgh Steelers could have had Justin Fields as their starting quarterback this year if they wanted to. They just had to commit to him as a full-time starter without any competition, and they would have had to pay him more money than they wanted to. They didn't want to do either one of those things. And if you weren't really willing to give Justin Fields the job, and you didn't feel like he was good enough to get the job without competition, like, did you really want him back? Like, I really don't think that was the case for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the person that they pretty much wanted all along here, and the person that was their main quarterback target, was Aaron Rodgers from the start. And like we said earlier in the show here, it's absolutely possible they would have signed Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers as well this offseason, because the Steelers are in win-now mode. And if you could have gotten Rodgers for the value you ended up getting him at, I mean, the Steelers are paying him less than the Jets are paying Justin Fields this year. It is definitely possible that the Steelers could have signed Fields and Rodgers in the same offseason. I think Mike Tomlin loves Aaron Rodgers. I think he gives him a chance. I think he thinks that Rodgers gives this team a chance to win. And also, guys, just think about it. Pittsburgh is giving Aaron Rodgers the job without any competition. It is his job right now, and it's nobody else's, and there's not going to be a competition in camp. That was something that they were not willing to give to Justin Fields. So this whole narrative that the Steelers like Justin Fields more than Aaron Rodgers, it is just not true. The Steelers liked Rodgers more. That's why by free agency, they were all in on getting Rodgers. And in the end here, guys, I think that everyone got what they wanted at the end of the day here. Okay, Justin Fields is getting a chance to be the guy with a new football team, all right? He had his chance in Chicago. He didn't get it. He had his chance here in Pittsburgh, ended up getting benched. But now he gets a fresh start somewhere else in New York. And with a team that really does believe in him, and a team that's trying to rebuild right now with a new head coach, I think that situation in New York is much more beneficial for Justin Fields than it would have been here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then when it comes to the Steelers situation, a team that is more in a win now kind of situation, I think Pittsburgh kind of gets what they want here, because they have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that can help them try to win now. Justin Fields doesn't have a single playoff start in his entire career. Even if he was brought back and played well, the chances of the Steelers having playoff success were definitely going to be pretty darn low. But with Rodgers, the person with the most playoff starts in the NFL right now, out of active NFL quarterbacks, like, he gives you a chance to have playoff success. And then for Rodgers, he gets one last chance to win a title with a team with a really good defense, hopefully a better run game than what it was last year, to play with DK Metcalf, play for Mike Tomlin, a head coach he has a lot of respect for. So I think everybody in this situation, Fields, Rodgers, and the Steelers, all get what they want out of this offseason. So let me know down there in the comments section, who's the better QB right now? Type AR if you think Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback, or type JF if you think Justin Fields is the better quarterback. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by letting me know which of these two QBs is better. Now, before we get into my Day 3 minicamp notes from practice, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics, where you guys can get an Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey in your closet today by going to chatsports.com/AR8. That link is in the comments and description of today's show. And if you click that link and you purchase an Aaron Rodgers jersey from our friends at Fanatics today, Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds here. That helps out our entire operation. Better graphics, keeping the lights on, paying the rent, doing all the things that we need to do here at Steelers Talk to give you guys free Steelers content every single day. Plus, you get an Aaron Rodgers jersey in your collection. So go to chatsports.com/AR8 to get one in your closet today. All right, so now we can get to my Day 3 mandatory minicamp notes and takeaways. Today was the final day of Steelers mandatory minicamp in Southside Pittsburgh at UPMC training facility. The first one that I want to talk about here is DK Metcalf, where he talked to the media actually yesterday, but he noted the defensive communication from the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, something that seems really intriguing if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. This is what Metcalf had to say. The defense is great, just going against them yesterday. High-energy group. They talk a lot. I was joking with Calvin, talking about Calvin Austin III, that the first play out there, I couldn't even hear any of the checks that Mason or the snap count that Mason was saying because the defense was talking so much. And guys, communication has been the theme of the offseason for the defense, because last year down the stretch, guys like Dante Jackson, Joey Porter Jr., Cam Sutton, these guys in the secondary had really big issues communicating, especially with like pre-snap motion, knowing, what their coverage assignments were and the man-match schemes and all that different stuff. It was a big issue for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and teams were really able to take advantage of the lack of chemistry in the Steelers secondary and scheme people open. Apparently this year, Gerald Alexander, the new Steelers DB coach, has been stressing communication within this group the entire offseason. And according to the reports on the ground, this defense is high energy. They are talking all the time, and they are on the same page. So that is great news if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and you hope this defense plays better than they did down the stretch in 2024. Another thing, speaking of the defense here, Juan Thornhill was not at Steelers OTAs. He is a veteran, but he was at mandatory minicamp this week, and he was flying around, man. He looks fully healthy. He's been dealing with some injuries in some previous seasons, and as a result, his production has not been fantastic for the Cleveland Browns. But, it seems like he's flying around. He's a great athlete. He's a ball hawk. He's got great instincts, and he was making plays on the football all week long during the team period. So he could be a secret weapon for the Pittsburgh Steelers as kind of a third safety. We know Mike Tomlin loves to deploy those 3 safety packages. We love Minkah Fitzpatrick. We love Deshaun Elliott. And, if you can add a third safety to that kind of spot where Thornhill can play all over the defensive formation as kind of like a bandit safety, I think that could be kind of the secret weapon for the Steelers defense this year. And I'm really excited to see what Double Deuce does on the Steelers defense this year. Then we'll move over to the offensive side of the ball here. Broderick Jones, of course, first-round pick a couple of seasons back, is moving back over to left tackle where he played his college ball. He's been playing right tackle here in Pittsburgh since he was drafted, again, when the Steelers traded up for him just 2 years ago. But now he has lost 15 pounds this offseason. He looks a little bit lighter, and he says he still needs to get used to, playing back over on the left side. He's so used to playing on the right side because he's been playing there the last 2 years. So he says it's a little bit of an adjustment period to move back over to the left. But he does say that he feels more comfortable over there than he did on the right. And Pat Meyer, the offensive line coach, says that they're just looking to get more consistency out of Broderick Jones. He clearly has the physical capabilities to be a really good starter in this league. It's just a matter of getting the technique down and having that consistency on the field, not have as many penalties as he did last year. So, the loss of poundage certainly seems like he's in really good shape at this point. Then we get to Caleb Johnson, the third-round pick out of Iowa this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pass pro has been kind of one of the things that have been an issue for him. He's not really been somebody that's done a lot of pass pro because that Iowa offense was pretty much all, ground and pound and run the football, and that's all they really did. They didn't really pass the football a whole lot. So that's going to be something that he's going to have to get better at, and he understands that, and he's been putting in a lot of work to try and be a better pass protector. But because that's kind of a weakness in his game and it's such a strength of Jaylen Warren's game, he might be the best pass protecting running back in all of football. Like eventually, the setup here is that KJ's not going to be out there on like pass heavy downs. Like if the defense knows that it's going to have to be a pass, I don't think you can trust Caleb Johnson out there right now in pass protection. You're going to have Jaylen Warren out there. So KJ's going to be an early down back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, probably early on in his career, probably not an every down back right away. But the fact that he is putting in so much work to try and make this a strength of his game is certainly a testament to his work ethic. And I'm certainly hoping that he can become just like Jaylen Warren, like one of the best pass protecting running backs in all of football. And then another rookie here that I thought had a really good week was Will Howard, somebody that I had on my OTA losers list because he struggled during OTAs, all right? It's okay. He's a rookie, he's a 6th-round rookie, getting his feet wet. He did struggle during those first couple of practices, but this week he looked a lot more in control. He looked a lot more comfortable out there. He was hitting seam balls to Darnell Washington, the team periods. He was completing passes. He looked comfortable out there. And, after kind of a rough and bumpy start, it seems like he's really settled in to the Pittsburgh area and with this football team and all that stuff. And Aaron Rodgers was even complimenting him on how bright he is and how he's doing a good job with the progressions. It seems like Will Howard is doing a good job now. And now that we can go into this break before Latrobe, it seems like he finished out with 2 really good days at mandatory minicamp, so he's got to be feeling good as we head towards training camp this year. And then, speaking of the quarterbacks, once again, I'm just going to keep reiterating that Aaron Rodgers looked really good all week. Like his mobility, the team released a couple of clips of him doing the movement drills within the pocket, and like his feet look quick. They look like he's pretty darn nimble right now. And then, of course, he's got that signature quick release, the reports of the arm strength and the quick release and the wrist, flick that he's known for. It's all over the place, man. The team is juiced to have him in the building, and so am I. And, I can't wait to see what he looks like once we get to Latrobe when we put the pads on. Some notes here from Mike Tomlin, who talked to the media after practice was over today. First, no major injuries suffered this week, so that is good news. The team will be fully healthy when they get to Latrobe in late July. He also says that he feels comfortable with where the TJ Watt situation is at. He thinks that the situation will come to a resolution at some point, but he did not say when he expects it to get resolved. And then he also said that he moved the training camp practices this year. Like last year, they did mid-morning practices. This year, they moved them back to the middle of the afternoons. He was asked why he did that, and he said, quote, "It wasn't hot enough last year." So he wants to make practices harder than the games. And, adding the heat element to it is certainly part of that process, kind of like that with Coach T there, making it harder on the guys. All right, and then, and now we look forward to training camp, but we also look forward to the throwing sessions that Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth have alluded to this week that they're going to be having in Malibu. Aaron Rodgers kind of jokingly said, I'm going to have a hard time getting players to come out to beautiful Malibu, California to catch passes from me. But I fully expect, all these top guys, DK Metcalf, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin III, Robert Woods, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward. I expect all of them to be in Malibu. They're probably going to be doing it at UCLA where Rodgers had his throwing session with DK Metcalf earlier this offseason. And I'm really excited to get the pictures from that, get some video from that. It's usually a fun time in the offseason where quarterbacks and weapons build some chemistry, and they can kind of make up for some of that lost time that they lost when Rodgers did not show up to voluntary OTAs this year. Tomorrow, we will have minicamp winners and losers during our Steelers Talk live show. The live show starts 5 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. I'll have my list of winners and losers from minicamp. We've also got a couple more segments, plus we've got our next Madden simulation tomorrow as well, so you're not going to want to miss tomorrow's Steelers Talk live show. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. That'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk, and until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.